Tonight on the Dirty Word News, we're going to be talking about sexist lawyers, transgender Jews, and defeating the patriarchy with math. Hey humans, I'm Amanda Montell, and this is The Dirty Word, or Sex and Language, Get It On. Today I thought I'd pull a John Oliver and do a little bit of a news roundup. 3 ways the world is f***ing the patriarchy through language this week. So the first way comes in the form of a new rule passed by the American Bar Association. According to the New York Times, it is now officially considered professional misconduct to make comments or act in a way that discriminates against or harasses other lawyers, or anyone for that matter, in the course of practicing law. Specifically, what this means is that in the United States, it is now forbidden to call a female lawyer honey, or sweetie, or darlin', or make any other kind of sexist remark or gesture towards her while she is trying to practice her profession. In other words, before this prohibition, you'd have male lawyers in the courtroom undermining the opposing counsel by calling them honey and sweetie without consequence. I'm no lawyer, but I've definitely had the experience of male coworkers calling me and my other female colleagues things like cutie and little girl, which is obviously pretty demeaning. So it is high time we have a rule like this, a small but important step toward f***ing the patriarchy. This next story comes from the Washington Post. This week they told the story of a Hebrew-speaking summer camp in Maryland that is trying to reinvent the Hebrew language so that transgender kids can fit in. The Hebrew language, just like Spanish and French and many other languages, assigns each noun a gender. There are male nouns and female nouns. For example, in Hebrew, the word chanich means male camper, chanicha means female camper. But the news story told of this 14-year-old kid at the camp named Zev who doesn't identify with either gender or any of the gendered terms that the grammatical rules of Hebrew allow, making speaking the language very difficult. So this camp is trying to invent a new gender-neutral version of Hebrew that all of the campers can use, modifying existing suffixes and pronouns so that everyone can feel included. So now when Zev wants to say something like, I'm a camper, Zev can use a new gender-neutral version of the word, chanicho. Fun fact, Hebrew was actually a dead language for almost 2,000 years, from 70 CE to the late 1800s. It is the only language in the world that's ever been literally resurrected from the dead. So you've got to wonder, if that's possible, why shouldn't a gender-neutral version of Hebrew be possible too? Props to Habanim Dror Camp for their efforts toward defeating the patriarchy this week. This third and final story is a little bit technical, but bear with me. It comes from the MIT Technology Review reporting on some new research from Google revealing the hidden sexism in the English language. Here's what happened. Some researchers at Google were interested in studying the patterns in the way that words appear next to each other. So they put together this big data set of words pulled from Google News articles. As they were analyzing the data, they came across gender-related word associations like man is to king as woman is to queen, and man is to brother as woman is to sister. But what they also noticed is that some of these word associations were blatantly sexist, like man is to doctor as woman is to nurse, and man is to computer programmer as woman is to caretaker. These are real examples from the dataset. The researchers were particularly disturbed by these patterns of gender bias because, again, they came from news articles written by professional journalists who are supposed to be objective. In the real world, this is a huge problem because the specific data they were using has many practical applications. For example, these word associations are used to improve web search results. So if the word computer programmer is more closely associated with men than women, then when you Google the word computer programmer, Google is more likely to rank men higher than women in your results. That means that these word associations not only reflect existing gender stereotypes, they also amplify them. So the original researchers looked into this a little bit more, and eventually they were able to change the algorithm of the data set to greatly reduce this gender bias. Oh, don't you just love when science works to slam the patriarchy? That's it for me today. Thank you all so much for watching this newsy episode of The Dirty Word, and I'd love to know if you liked it. Leave me a comment letting me know if you'd like to hear more ways the world is f***ing the patriarchy. And remember, stay dirty.